A woman looks her up and down, sizing her up almost. You can go in. No turning back now. Deep breath. She turns the knob and opens the door. She steps in, and Mr. Yves Saint Laurent himself looks her dead in the eye.
Loading model dossier. Gurmit.
She was born to a conservative Indian family in Changi Village, a scenic part of Singapore. She was one of 9 siblings who all slept in one room. A room that leaked during monsoon season. Sometimes I really take for granted what I have, because imagine sleeping in a leaky bedroom. I get bothered when my socks are a little moist. Like, I would crash out genuinely. She was gorgeous, but insecure. Isn't it kind of wild that most gorgeous people grow up insecure? Like, not knowing how beautiful they are? Insecurity wasn't the only struggle, though. I suffered from dyslexia and child epilepsy, and I remember having attacks while waiting at the bus stop. These factors led to her feeling othered, and she hated it. In a sense, I never wanted to feel different from anyone else. I just wanted to be accepted and be part of a group. It's a great thing she didn't fit in, because most great models don't. Her beauty intensified as she got older, and locally she started to model, not because she wanted to, but she needed the money. And like her childhood, it wasn't much easier. My career as a model happened by sheer accident. To make some extra money, I tried doing some modeling on the side, but it was tough finding jobs in Singapore because they were always looking for Chinese girls. But I saw modeling as a means to make money, so I could do the kind of work I was passionate about. What was the kind of work she was passionate about? Sculpting. Because of her dyslexia, expression through writing wasn't it, but her visual muscle, that strengthened. She had a knack for the arts, so she enrolled in LaSalle Academy. And that phase, as well as teaching math classes on the side, paid for him. So it's 1986 and the Pan Pacific Hotel is being built in Singapore. And an American architect, John Portman, was commissioned to design it. So John had a homeboy, Olivier Strebelle, a well-known Belgian sculptor. And John had Olivier design a piece for the lobby of the Pan Pacific Hotel. You still with me? Okay, stick with me because it gets good. So somehow John gets Olivier to speak at Gurmit's sculpture class. And when he did, there was an instant attraction. She was 19 and he was 50. Okay, where was I? Okay. As love bloomed between them, something began to strangle and prick. The rishta, or arrangement, is based on family background, finances, and culture. Her parents had someone else in mind instead of the man she was in love with. Today, there's more choices for couples to choose if they want to be together, but back then, no. But she was not giving up her sculptor man. So what does she do? Tan. Colorism permeates a lot of cultures, and the lighter skinned you are, the more attractive you are. She played into it, lying in the sun for 3 hours to be less attractive to her suitor. She had a sister who was lighter than her. She was like, okay, she's lighter, go over there, like, leave me alone. And guess what? They left her alone. Kinda sad, but it worked. And it left her with the perfect window to do something wild, something crazy. So with a little bit of money in her pocket, 15 Singaporean dollars to be exact, she ran away with her sculptor man. She's now a happily married woman to her sculptor man in Brussels, and he's immersing her in the world of art and sculpture. And for the next 2 years, she trained to be a goldsmith, learning methods used to create costume jewelry for Balenciaga and Schiaparelli. Nice segue. A model agent contact had this idea. Why don't you go to Paris? I think there's a YSL casting that you'd be perfect for. So she got on a plane and headed to that YSL casting that she'd be so perfect for. She's in the middle of Paris in 1989 and she's nervous as hell, but here we go. So Saint Laurent had a gatekeeper, I'm assuming some sort of casting director, Nicole Duray. And you weren't seeing Saint Laurent if Nicole didn't approve. Clearly, Nicole approved. She walks into his atelier and he lays eyes on her. You'd think the first thing out of his mouth would be, "Bonjour." When I walked into Saint Laurent's studio, I remember the first words out of his mouth were, "Ah, comme elle est belle. Je vais vous appeler Jezebel." When I posted the short of this, people were telling me that Jezebel has multiple connotations, so it's not all bad. So we're gonna leave that one alone. It's not as crazy as it sounds. It's actually a term of endearment. Anyway, new side quest, in-house modeling for Yves Saint Laurent. He loved her, was inspired by her, spontaneously created saris on her body. How does this happen to people? Like, how does life just is meant to be? Why did this not happen to me? Why did this not happen to us? It's never too late. Anyway, she walks her first Yves Saint Laurent show. All kinds of people show up in runway audiences, including fashion editors. And a woman named Colleen Firth was in that audience. She booked Gurmit for an Italian Vogue shoot with Steven Meisel. It was one of the biggest moments of her career. Another, working closely with Azzedine Alaïa, a designer involved in it all, from fabric to stitch. He designed specifically for the female body. And because of that, he was very inspired by the models who worked with him. Where most couturiers would have one fitting model, Elia liked to work with different girls. All of us used to cry to do a fitting with him, because it was such an extraordinary experience. That must be true, because every model that worked with him shared the same sentiment. With already great credits in her book, she went on to become one of the biggest models in the early 90s. I mean, with a great runway walk and a face that eats in every photograph, it's no surprise. But while she was flying high professionally, parts of her personally were crashing. Her marriage was falling apart. She and Olivier separated, and she moved to New York City. But even there, the things that used to satisfy her didn't anymore. While still on top, she quit modeling, got on a plane, and returned to love in Brussels. Not to her sculptor, man, to finish her studies in jewelry making. And once she did that, she was back on a plane to New York City, not to modeling, to open her own line at Bergdorf. Like, T, you quit modeling while you was still winning, finished your education, came back, opened up your own jewelry line. 8 down. She stayed in New York for 5 years, and in those 5 years, she fell in love again, remarried, and had 2 baby boys. Then she was back on a plane, but this time to London, where she settled. Well-lived and well-traveled, and it's reflected in her life and her design. Her collection includes emeralds cut in Jaipur, pearls from Hyderabad, and diamonds from Antwerp. And all this by a gem from Singapore.